Hey everyone, John Michael here. This is H2OMG and we talk about how water makes it possible. As you can tell, I still have laryngitis. Actually, I got rid of the first laryngitis and I was okay for about 4 days and then it came back. So, you're gonna have to bear with me. Honestly, I've forgotten what my real voice sounds like, so maybe for the rest of my life, this is how it's just gonna be. So, just get used to it. Well, we're right in the middle of National Engineers Week, and we thought we'd celebrate by taking a trip to Village Creek Water Reclamation Facility and talking to Ana-Julia Peña-Tijerina, the engineering manager. We have so many types of engineers working here in the water department, and we couldn't do what we do without them. So if any engineers or future engineers are listening, happy National Engineers Week. All the wastewater from Fort Worth, as well as several nearby cities, goes to Village Creek, so it's an extremely important facility. We do a lot of fascinating things at Village Creek, like our biosolids program, which we hope to do a whole episode on sometime in the future. Village Creek is also open for tours, so if you're interested in that, visit fortworthtexas.gov/water/education/tours for more info. And if you have any burning questions you've always had about water but were too afraid to ask, email them to us at wpe@fortworthtexas.gov and we'll answer them in an episode. I want to say a huge thanks to Ana-Julia for taking time to talk with us. It was great having her on, and I'm sure we'll have her back at some point. So let's get to the show. Thanks for listening, and hope you enjoy. Oh, and one more thing. We had our first listener question submitted, so stay tuned after my interview with Ana to hear our conservation specialist Jillian answer this really great question. Hey everybody, this is John Michael. I'm here at the Village Creek Water Reclamation Facility with Ana-Julia Peña-Tijerina. And we're here to talk about Engineering Week. So this episode is coming out right in the middle of Engineering Week. And we've just got some questions for Anna. So what's your title?
My title is Engineering Manager.
Engineering Manager?
For the Strategic Operations Division.
Okay. What does that mean exactly?
It means a bunch of things that we're trying to figure it out. The water department is in need of a group of engineers who can plan and assess the infrastructure. And that's what our role is.
Okay. How long have you been with the city?
This is my 8th year.
8th year. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, why does a water department need engineers?
Very good question. Engineers is a very versatile career. I think you will see engineers everywhere in any industry. And just so happen that the water industry is one of them. The engineers, I think the biggest skill is problem solving. And there are many types of engineers, particularly me. I have a bachelor's in chemical engineering, and I really like the environment. So I have a master's and PhD on environmental engineering. And throughout my career, because I work in the industry, in the food industry, and then I work as a consultant, I saw one repeating task, which was problem solving everywhere. And I think it's very versatile because you can do engineering work on any field, and the water department needs them because there are many issues that need to be resolved across the department.
Well, what types of engineers do we have here at the water department?
We have all sorts. I think one of the good things for water is that needs a little bit of all the science and all the different areas that are out there. We have electrical engineers designing mostly PLCs and electrical gear programming that checks on which things are running at different times. And then all these transformers and big electrical equipment that we have in the water department. And we have also civil engineers. Civil, they design and build structures. So anytime that you see roads, bridges, those are civils.
Okay.
And specifically for water, they are the ones who design the structures, the buildings, the channels, the tanks. That's the strongest area for civils. We also have chemical engineers like me. The chemical engineers mostly specialize on process. They understand how the chemical and biological reactions happen, what are the factors that you consider. So they start troubleshooting and designing how much of chemicals, how long the reaction time takes,
Yeah.
and the water quality.
Mm.
And then we have, let me think, electrical engineers, civil engineers, chemical engineers, mechanical engineers. I don't know many in the city, but when I was a consultant, we do have them on staff all the time. Anything that pertains equipment, design and selection, the mechanical engineers are very important.
Okay.
So there are all sources of engineering. And then there are other engineers who analyze systems, system engineers, computer engineers. The city has a lot of them too.
Mm-hmm.
They mostly assist under the IT department and usually manage programs and software implementation.
Okay. Our adopted school is Glen Park, and hopefully they're listening right now. And so we've got a big group of kids at the school. And so what do kids need to know how to do? What do they need to study if they're interested in becoming an engineer when they grow up?
Engineering really requires curiosity. So they have to be open to learn. What I like about engineering is that it's based on science. So definitely they have to enjoy the science classes. Math is very important. You don't have to do like the best or just straight 8s in math, but really understand the basics, especially algebra. I will say that science and math are the basis for any engineering. On your first and second year in your bachelor's, you have to take those classes, like no question about it. Every engineer has to take maths. In high school, they have to have the 4 years of math, and then science, chemistry, biology, physics. And again, it's just a problem-solving skill.
Well, I'm terrible at math, so it's good to know that I could still be an engineer if I really tried.
No, yes. It doesn't have to. Of course, things are easier if you have basic skills of math. But I think if you persevere and you work hard, that can make you be a good engineer anywhere. So on any specialty that you select. I think that's the most important piece, the hard work and persevere through the circumstances. So I will say to the kids, just if you want to learn, if you want to, especially the kids who are more hands-on, engineering is great for that, because there are robotics, there are in computer, they can build stuff. And the beauty of engineering is not only that you work with your mind, but you had the blessing of seeing your work in paper or build, and that not everybody has.
What would you consider is the most meaningful part of your job?
So I definitely enjoy how diverse is the job, that you never get bored because there are so many things to do, that you have to keep yourself very open, because it's different things. It's not the same area. You have to use the maths, you have to use the biology, you have to use the chemistry, you have to, even the electrical. So that's what I like.
So why do you think it's important for us to conserve water?
Water is vital and is limited. There is an exercise where you can explain to the kids if the whole water of the world can be equal to about 4 gallons, and only 3 milliliters from those 4 gallons are fresh and easy available to us. The rest is not available, and the majority is with salt that cannot be drinkable. That is not drinkable. So that's the importance of water. It may seem when you look around that is a lot of water out there, but it's not everything available. And I think the people from Forward, do value water because we have gone through different droughts for like 10 years in a row. And that's when you realize, oh, wow, water is limited.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has to just be very wise on how much water is used and how do you use the water that you have available.
What would your day look like without water?
Yeah.
So if
First
you
of
had
all,
to
I will
imagine-
not have a job anymore
Yeah,
because
me
my
either.
job is cleaning water. I think from when you wake up, you need the water. As a matter of fact, before, when I go to bed, I really like drinking some hot tea.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to be hydrated. And if I am hydrated, I sleep better. And I just wake up in much better condition.
Yeah.
So from going into bed, I need the water. In the morning, I also drink water first. I'm thirsty usually in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And then I need my shower.
Yeah.
If I don't shower in the morning, I'm kind of sleepy for 1 hour or so.
Yeah.
So I right there need water for myself and for waking up. And then the coffee is next.
Yeah.
Water is used everywhere. And even you don't never think about water when you are eating a steak. But each pound of steak does need a lot of many more gallons of water behind that pound of steak.
Yeah.
So water is everywhere. Water is very vital. On my job, the water comes to us to be clean by gravity. So I cannot imagine a day without water because that will mean that something happened in Fort Worth downtown that really prevent that water flowing to us.
Yeah, something catastrophic.
Yes, something catastrophic. So that will be very, very scary.
Yeah.
We discharge into a river, that is the Trinity River. So the river doesn't have that many water. Village Creek discharge into the Trinity River accounts for like 80% of the total flow.
Wow.
But I haven't seen that river totally dry yet. I have seen it with very little flow, but not dry.
Yeah.
But I still cannot imagine no water in my job.
Yeah.
And I use it personally, and here is our core business. So.
Yeah. And just for everybody who's listening, Village Creek is the only wastewater treatment plant in Fort Worth, right?
Correct.
And we also treat the wastewater of surrounding cities too, right?
Correct. It's basically serve the Tarrant County. So the whole Fort Worth city sends the water to Village Creek Water Reclamation Facility. And we have about 23 whole customers that also send us their wastewater. And we serve about 1.2 million people.
Yeah.
In the area of Tarrant County. You may wonder, you mentioned before this is the only wastewater treatment plant, but in the beginning you mentioned our name, it's Village Creek Water Reclamation Facility. So have you wondered what's the difference between wastewater treatment plant and water reclamation facility? Okay, let me explain that. I'm very passionate about that.
Yes, please.
For me, we should not call it wastewater. We should
I
call
apologize.
Okay. I take that apology. Apology accepted. We should call it enriched water. And enriched, for me, means that it has a lot of value on the contaminants that are carried over with the water and gets here. Basically, those contaminants and pollutants are carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. That if we harvest when we are cleaning the water, we can reuse them. And a lot of those contaminants have a lot of value. Let's talk about carbon, for instance. Carbon comes from everything we eat and process and just throw away on the faucets and the toilets. So it comes to us and is carbon that we use physical, chemical, and biological processes to transform. And in doing that, there are bacteria that takes that organic matter and transform them, break them down, and use them for grow, just like us humans. They eat, then they grow and multiply.
Yeah.
But when they, you know how we breathe and exhale CO2?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they breathe and they exhale methane, not only CO2.
Yeah.
And we can capture that methane. We do here in this facility. And we have engines that take that methane and produce electricity. In a very good day, when we have all the energy systems running and running well, we are able to produce up to 70% of our own energy demand.
Wow.
Just in an average month, on an average day, we use 10 megawatts. So when we are working with all the energy systems, we can produce up to 7 megawatts of energy, so which is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that, and that's why
really cool.
we changed our name about 5 years or so to water reclamation, because we are not only cleaning the water, we are reclaiming those important components that have a value.
Yeah, that makes sense. I won't say wastewater anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's really cool that the microbes just live and they eat and they do their thing, and then they create this thing that we can use to save us electricity, and it's a lot more friendly for the environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, so you give tours and you interact with the public. What's a common question that people ask about your job?
Well, they always wonder. It's kind of difficult, I guess, from the outside to understand how the microbes clean the water.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that the little kids, they imagine somebody like just screening or putting chlorine on something, but
scrubbing it.
The big question, and when they see the basins, you mix the water that has the pollutants dissolved with the microbes, and they are so tiny that you cannot see them with your eye. What you see from the outside is basic chocolate water, brown water.
Yeah.
And then it's until they have cleaned the water at the end of the basins and in the secondary clarifiers that you can see them come together and the water being released as clean water now.
Yeah.
So I think they are all amazed to see the beginning on how the water is received, and then see the water leaving perfectly clean.
Yeah.
So I think that's what amazed them the most. But also, they didn't know about our existence. I think we do such a great job that people don't realize we're working. They open the faucet and you have water and potable water coming through it. And then they just flush the toilet and the water goes away.
Yeah.
And it's until they have a problem with those systems that they realize, somebody has to fix them.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen frequently.
Right.
So anytime that I'm outside having a conversation with a neighbor or a friend, and I explain I work cleaning water, they're like, what? So, and I start explaining how big is this facility and all the treatment that we have and the activities that we do, and they're like, I want to go there. So when they finally come, they realize, wow, I didn't know you existed.
Yeah.
And then they acknowledge and value our job, and they say, thank you, right?
Yeah.
But I think just knowing what we do is just an eye-opener for everybody who comes.
Yeah. Yeah, Village Creek is a really cool facility, and when I first started working here, I went on a tour of it, and it's a really amazing process. And maybe in the future, we can do an episode where we take everybody on a tour, and you can listen to the sounds and all the machines, and go through all the processes all the way to the outflow pipe where it goes right into the Trinity. So that would be a cool episode for the future. So if you could have people listening to this podcast remember just one thing, what would that one thing be?
That water is worth it. Our whole purpose in our job is to provide clean water for the community, because we know it's valuable, and we know that without this resource, the community is not going to thrive. And Fort Worth has big goals on being the most livable city in the nation, and it's only with our help. And also just value the people who provide the water, value the infrastructure that is underground, and just be a supporter of the fees that need to be paid to sustain the service that the city provides. Be proud of it. I think there is this big project, Trinity Vision, that the heart of the project is the extension of the Trinity River. And anytime that we see water flowing or hear the water flowing, we just get this peaceful feeling, and we get energized. Anytime that we are tired of doing exercise or we need a good sleep and a hot tea, it's just water is wonderful, cleans and hydrates. So let's think about that. And then one last really message that I want to send away. We do such a great job, and we make our best to keep the quality at the standards that is necessary to make it potable. So do not throw your money away buying water in bottles when you can drink the water from the faucets and reuse the water. And in that way, it's less pollution with the plastics. It's less money that you spend buying these water in bottles, and all of us are doing a better job.
Yeah.
When I was attending one of the conference 2 years ago, they were asking what was our dream to come true with what we wanted. And artist was drawing what we explained. And my dream was that everybody drinks tap water. At least in this nation, we're blessed to have the infrastructure and the resources to clean the water to that level.
Yeah.
There are other countries that cannot imagine even to have clean water, not even potable, but just clean, able to wash their clothes and do other basic things. So let's acknowledge that blessing and drink tap water. I think that's the message that I want to send.
That's good. The last question that I have for you is, if you had to pick one movie to live inside of, what would that movie be?
Okay. I'm very kind of fighter. So I was thinking.
Oh, I wonder what you're going to say.
I like good history drama movies. I like comedy.
Yeah.
I don't want to suffer, so I don't like the horror movies or anything like that. But I think I like these strong personalities. So the Avengers, on the first one, where the Black Widow was needed to take the strength from inside of her to come back and fight against one of his friends because he was under the mind of Loki. And she did. So I identify with her in the sense that she needed first to control herself, first to be able to have her mind set and convince herself, and then go and fight.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening to me right now. I love public service. I'm very passionate about water. And I have been blessed to have the training and the opportunities that I have right now here in my job and with my family. So I have to regroup the energy and the emotions and my spirit inside me to come back and continue working hard and giving the best I can.
Yeah. Wow, that's a very deep answer. In one of the other episodes, I said my answer was the movie Captain Ron. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Well, the only reason I can give is just because I like the movie. So I didn't have like a good answer like you had. But well, so thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. It's been great.
All right.
Yeah. I don't really know
Good
what else I
luck.
was doing.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'll
this-
try not to talk with my hands.
This won't take long.
Yeah.
So we have our very first listener question
Yes.
that they submitted. This is from an anonymous person,
Uh-huh.
and here's their question. Our listener writes, how many gallons of water do bathtubs hold? Are baths more wasteful than showers? Asking for a friend.
Well, first, let me say this is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that your listener is curious about this because it's a common question. Now, I will say that the answer is not very straightforward.
Okay. Can I give you some hypotheticals?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Let's just say that this is a 34-year-old man,
Okay.
about 5'7",
Uh-huh.
blue eyes, brown hair.
Okay.
Maybe he's just taking a bath once a week to relax and read a book. He's trying to finish an Agatha Christie novel.
Okay.
This is all hypothetical.
Right.
So take that into account.
Okay. So honestly, the first part of that question is, regardless of who is in the bathtub, the first part of that question is really a key part of the answer too. So it depends on your bathtub. It depends on the size of your bathtub. And I think the question was, how do you know how much your bathtub holds? So generally, bathtubs will hold about 60 to 80 gallons.
Wow.
It could be, if it's a smaller bathtub, just relatively, it could be around 40, something like that.
Yeah.
But it depends on the size of the bathtub. So if you think about how many gallons your faucet is using per minute, typically faucets use about 2 gallons per minute. So if you're taking a shower, for instance, and you're using 2 gallons per minute and you're taking a 15-minute shower, then you're going to be using about 30 gallons of water. So that's about 30 gallons compared to if you're filling up your bathtub that's using 60 gallons of water, or can hold 60 gallons of water, and you're filling it up halfway. That's relatively the same amount of water, relatively.
Okay.
But there's a lot of variables to that. So if you're taking a 20-minute shower, then obviously you're using 40 gallons. That can add up. If you take multiple showers a week, then that adds up too. So there's a lot of variables to it. Yeah.
I happen to know that
Right.
this man only fills the tub up about a quarter of the way. Maybe a little more than a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he sits in there probably.
And is it a small bathtub? Is it medium size? It's not like a jacuzzi bathtub. It's not going to be like your 80-gallon bathtub. Okay.
Hypothetically, it's a smaller bathtub.
Okay.
I'd say more in the 30 to 40 gallon range that you mentioned.
Right.
And I imagine that he probably sits in there for about an hour. So he's getting a lot of use out of that water.
Right. Yeah, that's it. I think that is another part of this question is, if you want to use water that way and you think it's fun, then you can find other ways to reduce your water consumption. So it's a balance. It's not always one size fits all. It's not like everybody should, only be using, 10 gallons in one particular way. There's lots of ways to use water, but the point is to be mindful of how you're using that water and making sure that you're not, just using it wastefully, which it sounds like this water
hypothetical man.
Yeah, this hypothetical man is very conscientious about his water use, which is good.
Yeah. Well, so he'll just maybe just not drink water for a week, and then
not advisable. Not advisable.
Well,
but a lot of people use water outside. A lot of people wash dishes. Obviously, these are things that you have to do every single day. You have to use water every single day. So, there's lots of ways to cut back, and it's really just being mindful of it that really makes the difference.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know if we came to a conclusion.
Well, so the answer is. Understand your water use, understand how much you're using on a weekly basis. That's kind of where it starts. So if you're taking showers that are 15-minute showers and you're doing that every single day, that's going to add up and over time. And so, again,
showers typically use about 2 gallons per minute. So multiply that by the amount of time that you're in the shower, and then multiply that by how many showers you take a week. It's really a simple solution of like finding out how much water you're using during the week, and then finding ways to kind of cut back every little bit that you can.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope that helps our anonymous listener, and thank you very much for writing in with that really great question.
It was a wonderful question.
And I'll see you when I get home. If you if you have something that you've always wanted to know about water but were afraid to ask, you can write to us at wpe@fortworthtexas.gov, and we'll answer your question on the podcast. Thanks, Jillian.
You're welcome.
I forgot to introduce you.